Hey, Professor Wiseguy here. It's the weekend after the first week of my first semester back on campus, and I thought that it would be a nice day to get outside, enjoy my garden. Honestly, my wife does all the work here. I've been thinking about that video I made recently about what you should do on the first day of school, and that's linked right here. What do you do after the first day of school? What do you do in the first week? What do you do in the first few weeks? Well, I've got a few pieces of advice for you, and so I'd like to share those with you. I'm going to put those into three steps, three categories. Number one, you figure out the lay of the land. Now, here's what I mean by the lay of the land. First thing you do is you read over the syllabus. What is a syllabus? Is it just a piece of paper that a professor hands you on day one and you immediately throw it away? Or is it just something they put online and you never look at it? Well, I would advise you strongly to take that thing and keep it. In fact, if it's online, don't just keep it on there, copy it to your hard drive so that if it should mysteriously change, let's say, you can know what the original one looked like. If they give you a paper one, keep that as well. Here's the reason. A syllabus is essentially a contract between a professor and a student. If you get that thing and it says, let's say, there will be no penalties for excessive absences, then there will be no penalties for excessive absences. And if the professor later on decides, I'm going to penalize you for excessive absences, in most schools, and I would say any school that's worth going to, if you complain about that, you will win that argument. They can't drastically change assignment due dates, things like that, unless they get your permission, essentially. I mean, if they say, oh, your final paper is due on December 5th, and then they suddenly say, oh, you got to have it in before Thanksgiving, you're probably going to be able to say, well, you know, I really need to turn it in on December 5th. So keep that thing because, first of all, you don't want any surprises. Because here's the thing that can happen and is much more likely than a professor trying to jerk you around. It could say there are severe penalties for excessive absences. You know what? If you don't read that syllabus and you don't know that, then you're going to assume, oh, it's okay. Well, you know, the professor never said anything, so she must not care that I missed, and then you end up getting 50 points taken off. That's a bad thing. All right, that's the first part of getting the lay of the land. The second part would be figuring out who this professor is. Find out, and I'm not talking about, you know, you stalk them and you go through their trash or anything like that. I'm saying you should learn what you can about them. Use what you know about people and kind of figure this person out. Are they super rigid? Are they a disciplinarian? Are they the person that when they say that's the rule, it's never going to be varied from? Or are they the person who'll kind of roll with the punches and say, well, you know I said that you can only have so many absences, but, you know, it's not that big a deal. Try to figure that out. Now, of course, don't just hear what you want to hear, but try to figure out who this person is. That's part of the lay of the land. The last thing I would say in the learning the lay of the land is that you figure out those people around you. Who are the leaders in this class? Who are the people that are going to set the personality of the class? Who are the people that are really on top of things? Who are the people that are the complete slackers? If there's somebody who is a really good note taker, then you want to know who that person is. If there's a person who knows how to do the work in this class already, it would be probably a good thing to befriend that person. Know who the strong students and the weak students are. If you miss class and you need to get notes from somebody, don't just rely on the person next to you. I mean, that's fine, but if there's a really good note taker across the room, talk to them. All right, so you've learned the lay of the land. Now, next thing you want to do is get yourself known. What do I mean by getting yourself known? Well, basically, you're getting yourself known to two parties. Number one, you might guess, the professor. And this is super important. You got to make sure that you get known in a good way, all right? You can get known in a bad way really easily. I mean, go into class and start barking like a dog. That professor will remember you, but not in a good way. So get known in a good way. Well, how do you do that? Let's think about it for a second. You be obviously prepared. You be attentive. You answer questions when questions are asked. You know, it's annoying for a professor when you have that student who wants to answer every single question. You know, the person who's like, ooh, me, all the time. And they don't want anybody else to answer. So you don't want to be that person. But you also don't want to be the person who is what 90% it seems like of our students are, who sits in the back and says, oh, I'm not going to say anything. Don't say anything. If you say something, you might be wrong. You know, don't be that person. Think things through and try to answer at least some of the questions, or add to the discussion, or volunteer to solve a problem on the board, or whatever the course would call for. Try to make yourself known as somebody who is in the top half of the engagement in the class. That's a good thing. Help yourself be known by the professor. If there's reading to be done, I would say you're not going to necessarily know everything from the reading, but look for something that you found strange, or look for something you found particularly interesting, or look for something with which you disagree. And then when the discussion is going on, if there is discussion of the reading, that's a place to sort of say, you know, I was wondering why the author says blah, blah, blah. Or when the author said blah, 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 does that contradict what you said in class? Or, you know, whatever. Find a thing you can talk about, you can ask about, that shows, hey, I read this stuff and I thought about this stuff. That'll put you ahead of about 90% of the students in most classes. Find out when the professor's office hours are. That's easy enough. It's usually on the syllabus. Go to the professor's office and find some excuse for going there. Maybe there was that thing in the reading that didn't get discussed. And you go in and you say, I'm sorry to bother you, but I had a question. On page 99, the textbook said blah, 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 blah. Does that mean blah, 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 blah? You may know that it totally means blah, 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 blah. And I have no idea what blah, 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 blah is. But you may know perfectly well what the answer is. But it says to the professor, I've been thinking about this. And by the way, I'm in your door here. And the professor may kind of blow you off and kind of, you know, I can't wait for you to leave. That's fine, then leave. Or it may say, well, come in, let's talk about this. And then they may want to get to know more about you and all sorts of stuff. And, you know, they'll buy you coffee and, you know, you'll have a lifelong friendship. You just never know. But seriously, if you can find an excuse for going by a professor's office and just saying, you know, I was coming by here and I wanted to make sure I knew where your office was. That's a reasonable thing to say. That person will know you. They will remember you because you are unlike most of the other students in the class. All right, so you have figured out the lay of the land. You've gotten yourself known. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't completely get ourselves known because you need to get yourself known to the rest of the class. Remember how I said when we learn the lay of the land, we find out who those strong students are. Well, if they're smart, they're looking around trying to figure out who the other strong students are, and you want them to know it's you, so that when maybe the professor says, okay, we want to make some groups for a group project, you know, well, I want to be in the group with her and with him, and not because you think they're, you know, going to be great to go party with. Do it because they're going to be good people to work with. They're going to work hard, they're going to be smart, and you get 3 people in a group who can really do stuff, your chances of success are very high. Learn the lay of the land. You have made yourself known. Now, the key thing, the third thing, is to establish your habits. And basically that means get busy preparing for class and doing the work that needs to be done, whether it be reading or equation solving or lab work or memorization or speeches or papers, or it doesn't matter. I would suggest look at your calendar and block out time when you can and will do your studying. Let's imagine that you have 2 classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 2 classes on Tuesday, Thursday. And you just decide, well, I'm going to study the day before each one of them. So I'm going to study Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday afternoon or evening for my Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. I'm going to study Monday and Wednesday for my Tuesday, Thursday classes, and then I get to take Friday and Saturday off. Good, that's a plan. Or I can use Friday and Saturday for a little extra if I need to. That's a plan. Put it on your calendar and do it. That's the establishment of a habit. You see, it's hard to start new habits. It's hard to break old bad habits. It's also not terribly hard to break old good habits. And so establish those things, work hard to get them made and get them to be routines so that you can't imagine doing anything else. I want you to think about this for a second. Think about getting up in the morning, and if you answer that you can do this, then I don't want to meet you face to face. But imagine that you get up in the morning and you get ready to go wherever you're going to go that day, and you do not brush your teeth. Can you do that? Again, if you can, I don't know that I want to meet you, but I can't do it. It's just gross to me. I have established the habit of always brushing my teeth before I do anything for the day. Once you establish that habit, it's hard to break. And when I can't do that for some reason, it's a horrible day. Establish your habits. Now, I said, figure out when you're going to study and then do it as best you can. You can't always keep your calendar, but do it the best you can. Do it on a weekly basis. When will I study for this class? When will I study for this class? Maybe you're going to do a marathon session once a week, and that will work for the class. Okay, great. But you want to look beyond just weekly. Take that calendar and plug in all of the major due dates throughout the semester. Why? Well, let's say you've got those 4 classes, and let's say 3 of them have a major project. Let's say a midterm and a big speech and a paper all due the same week. That's going to be quite a week. And probably your normal study routine, your normal allocation of time just isn't going to do it for you. And so what you do there is you think, well, how am I going to do that? Maybe I move some of it to the week before. Maybe the week before that. You realize I've got that week of destiny coming up. What am I going to do to make sure that when I get there, I don't, abandon sleep altogether? That's not a good thing to do. And I don't crash and burn. Instead, you say, okay, I'm going to have heavy study weeks on these 2 weeks before it, and then I get it done, and then I can back off a little bit. Do those things and actually do them, and you'll be well on your way to some success, the best success you can achieve. And that's all anybody can ask of you. All right, there are probably other things that would be valuable to do in the first few weeks of class, but those are the ones that come to my mind. And after all, it's a weekend. I don't have to be doing this stuff, do I? All right, that's all I have for now. If you've got ideas, if you've got comments, if you've got other additions or disagreements or whatever, put them in those comments down below. Otherwise, get out of here.